You see, the left, those masterminds of strategy, have cooked up a cunning plan. Now pay attention, because this is some next-level political maneuvering. You know, it's not like they're concerned about justice or anything. No, that's too straightforward. Instead, they're playing the ultimate game of political chess. Their goal? To strategically sideline Trump, the man they're absolutely terrified of facing in any future election. So they've decided to slap some indictments on him, not because of any legitimate criminal wrongdoing, but because it conveniently takes him out of the running for the next presidential showdown. Genius, right? Why let the American citizens exercise their right to vote for the candidate they believe in when you can just stack the deck in your favor? Now let's all gather around and applaud this brilliant display of democratic integrity. Who needs fair competition and open discourse when you can simply incapacitate your opponents with legal theatrics? It's like watching a political circus where the clowns are holding the gavels. So to sum it up, these indictments are a stroke of pure genius. Why rely on the people's judgment when you can orchestrate a backstage drama that puts your preferred candidate in the spotlight? Because let's be real, it's not about justice. It's about political survival at any cost. Bravo, Democrats, bravo. You've cracked the code to winning elections. Just toss fairness and decency out the window and go for the jugular. Who cares about the principles that once defined this nation? It's all about manipulation, power plays, and making sure the voters get the illusion of choice rather than the real thing. Outstanding work, truly.
Some days I know it's hard to believe that we're still living in the United States. The America I grew up in was a place where we don't put our political opponents in prison. We let the voters decide who's best to lead the nation. Nor did we criminalize political differences, oppressive regimes. Now, after I read through this latest indictment of Trump, I found myself asking, how can we now really say that we're any better than what we're seeing in the old former Soviet Union? Now, we're going to get to the legal farce that is this indictment in a few moments. But right now, all of you need to know something very important about this liberal Fulton County DA, Fani Willis. Now, after her unconscionably dragging out her investigation of Donald Trump for about 2.5 years, she was suddenly last night in this huge rush, desperate to get the indictment out there. So much so that she took the relatively rare step of keeping a new grand jury after regular business hours. Now, she did this for one reason and one reason only: for maximum PR effect. In prime time, no less.
Well, if it isn't the latest act in the never-ending political circus, the lefties must be having a field day with their latest tactic, Operation Trump Takedown. It's quite the masterpiece, really. Seems they're so petrified of the man that they've resorted to a little game of political sabotage. Because clearly, the only way to handle a potential opponent is to make sure he's nowhere near the race. Yes, let's all reminisce about the good old America I remember. You know, the one where we valued fair play and the power of the people's vote. But why bother with those outdated principles when we can just slap some indictments on our adversaries and call it a day? After all, who needs healthy democracy when we can have a healthy dose of legal theatrics? Now let's dig into the meat of this Trump indictment spectacle. Make no mistake, folks, this isn't about justice. It's a well-calculated move to kick him out of the political arena, giving Mr. Biden a clear path to the 2024 finish line. Because heaven forbid we actually have a level playing field and let the voters decide, right? Nah, it's much more convenient to manipulate the game behind the scenes. And speaking of Mr. Biden, let's all raise a glass to the Democrats for their masterstroke of nominating a candidate who's aging like a vintage cheese left out in the sun. Why bother with energetic, fresh contenders when you can have someone who's visibly deteriorating before our very eyes? It's like watching a slow-motion race where the finish line keeps moving further away. Oh, but let's not forget to give credit where credit is due. Bravo, Democrats, bravo. You've truly elevated the art of political theater. Who cares about addressing real problems or engaging in substantive debates? Let's focus on mudslinging, character assassination, and all-around distraction from the pressing issues that, actually affect the American people. So here's to you, Democrats, for providing us with a front-row seat to the mesmerizing drama of modern politics. Who needs a functioning democracy with open dialogue and fair competition? Let's just revel in the glory of manipulation, drama, and outright disregard for the principles that once made this nation a beacon of hope. Hats off to you for rewriting the rulebook. Oh, of course, because it's just mind-blowing how there are people out there who are so firmly convinced that Mr. Biden, the beacon of transparency and accountability, could do no wrong. I mean, his actions are as clear as mud. But hey, let's all pretend that he's as innocent as a newborn lamb. It's truly heartwarming how some folks can twist themselves into pretzels to defend the indefensible. Trump should have drained this swamp of a political party when he was in power. Then maybe the justice system we have right now would not be as disgustingly awful right now. And let's be real, when a Democrat finds themselves in the losing corner, they'll unleash a storm of chaos that makes a tornado look like a gentle breeze.
20 minutes now after the top of the hour, former President Donald Trump firing back at his latest indictment, claiming he has new proof coming out Monday that will clear his name of all criminal charges in Georgia.
Let's just take her line. So should the Al Gore electors from Florida have all been charged? Should the former chairman of the January 6th committee, who was an alternative elector in Mississippi, be charged? This is all crazy. I mean, let's be clear what's going on. The left is afraid of Donald Trump. He is the one outsider who has shaken their whole system, and they're willing to destroy the law in order to destroy Trump. That's the heart of it.
But what's the result of it? What's the result?
Look, I believe in the American people. I think in the end, this is going to nominate Trump by a landslide, and the nomination may be over by February 1st. I agree with Mark Halperin on that. I think that if the election next year is between those who defend the Constitution and the rule of law and a corrupt family living out the Clinton, Obama, Biden corruption of the American system, I have a hunch that the American people repudiate the corruption.
Now let's dive headfirst into the Trump indictment carnival. Oh, it's a masterpiece, I tell you. A true work of political art. Who needs justice when you can simply slap some legal papers on someone to keep them from the big game? It's like a high-stakes game of Monopoly, but instead of hotels on Boardwalk, we've got indictments on Pennsylvania Avenue. Fair play? Nah, it's all about rigging the game in your favor. The whole mail-in ballot situation, now that's a hot topic. Trump had a point there. Questioning a process that's been a cornerstone of American democracy is well within his rights. I mean, we're talking about a system that's supposed to ensure transparency and accuracy, yet it seemed like a can of worms just waiting to burst open. But here's where things start to look a bit off kilter. For having the audacity to voice his concerns, Trump finds himself in the crosshairs of indictments? Seriously, is this some sort of dystopian novel we've all been thrust into? Since when does raising valid questions about a process lead to legal repercussions? It's like we've entered the Twilight Zone, and it's leaving me wondering if this is the America I thought I knew. And let's not kid ourselves, the opposition isn't exactly sitting around knitting sweaters for charity. They know that if Trump steps back into that presidential ring, it's going to be a showdown of epic proportions. They've got this looming fear that their 14-year-long party, funded by the taxpayers no less, is about to get busted. Suddenly, they're having night sweats at the thought of facing the music for their actions. It's almost like we're watching a political thriller unfold right before our eyes. Trump, the outsider, challenging the system and taking on the establishment. It's like a David and Goliath story. But in this version, Goliath isn't just a giant, it's a complex web of entrenched interests and well-oiled machines. So, ladies and gentlemen, isn't it a delight to witness this grand spectacle of modern politics? The theater of the absurd, where reality and fantasy intertwine seamlessly. Who needs rational discourse, fairness, or even a semblance of sanity when we can have this swirling vortex of chaos, misinformation, and finger-pointing? Truly, a standing ovation is in order for this dazzling performance. Encore, anyone?
The day he walks into a courtroom, 15 million people will volunteer to be surrogates campaigning for Trump. I think people are now so angry at what is such. I mean, the Atlanta situation was an absurdity. That's a district attorney who, if the state of Georgia had any respect, would get her out of office. And you watch this whole thing, and I'm told it was all orchestrated from Washington. And after the Weiss nomination as a special counsel blew up, that Friday night somebody called and said, "You got to move Monday."
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Your support means the world to us here at Red Alert. We're dedicated to keeping you informed about the issues that matter most. But remember, we're not just here to dish out the news. We're here to spark conversations, ignite critical thinking, and inspire action. The times we're living in demand more than passive spectators. We need a community of engaged citizens, ready to stand up for what's right, ready to question the narratives, and ready to champion truth over fiction. That's you, that's us, that's Red Alert. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a crucial update. But don't stop there. Take these discussions beyond the screen. Talk to your friends, your family, your neighbors. Engage, debate, and challenge each other to dig deeper. Remember, change doesn't happen in a vacuum. It starts with informed individuals who care enough to take a stand. Together, we can be the catalysts for a more informed, more just society. So let's keep our eyes open, our minds sharp, and our voices heard. Thanks for being a part of the Red Alert community. Together, we're making a difference. Stay curious, stay vigilant, and stay engaged. Until next time, keep those alarms ringing because the truth never sleeps.